Well, hello, amazing artists. I decided today, since it was sunny outside, that I had to do my art lesson with you guys outside on my deck because it is so gorgeous. So now that we have learned all about Wayne Thiebaud and his delectable works of art, and you also have learned about value, the lightness or darkness of a color, we're now going to apply some value to our works of art, our yummy works of art. I decided to go with the video that showed the soft serve ice cream cone because it's one of my favorites. So what we're gonna need today, you guys, is after you have drawn and sketched out whatever ice cream you wanna go with, whether that be the soft serve like me, or whether you do 3 scoops on a cone, anything will work to practice our value. And so after that, you're gonna want something to either paint or color with, and I'll show you a few different ways. So I've grabbed some crayons that I had available. I grabbed some markers, and I also have my palette of paints over here. Now I'm going to show you this value that I'm going to apply on the soft serve right here. And if you don't have paints to use, after I'm done showing you this, I'm going to show you a few other different ways to apply value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the top of my cone here with a lighter value and work my way down towards a darker value. And let's see here, since I'm kind of in the mood for some blue, maybe this is a blueberry ice cream. So I'm gonna start with my light blue up at the top. And as you guys can see, after I sketched out my soft serve in pencil, I took a Sharpie and outlined it just because I love how Sharpie helps to outline and make our art defined and even more bold. So as I work here, I'm starting with this light value of blue, and this paint that I'm using, you can probably guess what it is because I keep dipping into the water. This is my watercolor paint. Okay, so once I am done with this lighter value of blue, a tint of blue, we might say, now for this next section of the swirl, I'm going to go to the next darker. So I want these to go somewhat in order to show that the lighter value is working its way towards the darker. Okay, and the nice thing about Sharpie when you're using watercolor paint is if you run into it, it's not going to run at all. It's permanent. So here's my darker value starting to come in. And then for this bottom swirl, and actually, I'm gonna kind of mix right here a little bit, this lighter with my next darker shade. Okay. Now let's go even darker still. And you know what, that's not quite dark enough for me, so let's see if I can find an even darker one. Getting better. How about this? Ooh yeah, that's the one I want. I like this palette a lot because it gives me lots of different tints and shades of certain colors. So I like to use it. All right. So once you are finished, and if you did like the 3 scoop ice cream cone, you might want to do each scoop a different value of a certain color, maybe the top scoop, the darkest, then medium, and then to the lightest at the bottom. It's up to you. Now, if you guys do not have paints like I do, what you can do is, if you have a bunch of markers, what I did is I grabbed 3 different values of markers. So I can kind of show you off to the side here. So let's make sure I grab the right one. Okay. So as you can see, one marker, they're all the same color, but different values. So we've got my light blue, my kind of darker still blue, and then a very dark blue. Okay, so if you have markers, you might want to choose different values and color that way. Another way you could do it is if you have different shades and hues of crayons, but even if you only have one crayon and you want to show different values with it, all you need to do is go from very light coloring and work your way, pressing even harder on the next one, and then even harder still on the next one. And just with one crayon, you can create different values, lighter all the way to darker. And I'll kind of do that here on the waffle cone. So I'm going to use just one crayon, and I'm going to, as I color in this cone, I'm going to start with a dark value by pressing harder around some of these edges. Okay, so I'm not pressing hard that it breaks, but I'm just pressing firmly so that that value is dark. And then for the rest of the cone, I'm going to press much lighter as I color. And as you can see, that creates a much lighter value and adds some dimension to my cone, which is why I love value, because it adds a lot of contrast and makes our art pretty interesting, and it really catches people's eye. So I'm kind of going in the middle here and pressing a little darker for that kind of middle value here, and it'll work its way to the lighter out here. All right. And if you guys know Miss Einerson, you probably can guess what I might be adding next when I go into my white paint over here. Whenever I do some sort of picture, I love some good highlights. So I'm taking my white paint. You could do this with a white crayon, you could do it with an oil pastel paint, but I love highlights because, well, they highlight, and so that kind of draws our eye in. And you know what I was just thinking about, artists, is if I did this over, I probably would have added a cherry onto the top. But you know what I'll do instead is, can you guess? Okay, I'm going into the red now. And my paint is drying really fast because I'm outside and it's really breezy. And that makes my watercolor paint dry super fast. So I am gonna add some sprinkles, because who does not love sprinkles on their ice cream cone? Yum. This makes me want ice cream right now. All right, you guys. So I cannot wait to see your fabulous ice cream cones showing some value when you color. Lots of different ways to do that. And I hope you guys have a lot of fun and enjoy your ice cream art making.